conversation with him, I was so inspired, and I was like, no, this is not something that should be in writing.
If you joined TSTA, then you also had to be a member of NEA and pay membership dues in both.
You are truly inspirational, and just all this wealth of knowledge that you have, and all these, you remember all these dates.
Yeah. Well, I try to.
All right, everyone. My name is Felicia Robinson, and I'm the president of the Dallas local ATPE. And I'm here today with Floyd Trimble, and we're just going to have a conversation and just hear from Floyd, because I called him on the phone just to get some background information about ATPE, our state and region. And after having that conversation with him, I was so inspired, and I was like, no, this is not something that should be in writing. This needs to be live for everybody to hear from him, all the wisdom, all the knowledge that he has, and just how strong and influential of a man he is. So let's just have a little conversation with Floyd. Like, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, you and your family?
Well, I was an employee of Dallas ISD for 33 years. I was taught in the classroom for 15 years. Then I was in administration with Dallas ISD for 18 years. I retired in 1994 from DISD, but I still stay active in the organizations, and I still stay in contact with a lot of the administrators and teachers that I taught with. So, and I try to stay active doing something not only in organizations but within my church. I feel like, the more I stay active and busy, the better off I'll be. During the fairs, I go to work about 2 or 3 weeks before the fair begins, get things ready, and I've been managers for the Pan Am Arena, and for the past 2 years I've been manager of the Coliseum for the State Fair of Texas.
Did you say you still work for the State Fair of Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us a little bit about ATPE history before it was actually ATPE?
Well, back in the early or mid 1970s, the Texas State Teachers Association merged and went with the National Education Association, NEA, back then. In fact, all of us members voted that merger down, but who that was, I do not know. But they came back a year later behind everybody's back and voted in. So that meant if you joined TSTA, then you also had to be a member of NEA and pay membership dues in both. So there was a group here in the Dallas area, and there was teachers, principals, and whatever in DISD, Mesquite ISD, Irvin ISD, and all over, got together, a few of them, and they organized here in the Dallas area what's called Association of Texas Educators, ATE. Well, at the same time, in the Houston area, Texas Professional Educators, TPE, organized. And both ATE and TPE had about the same philosophies and goals and everything. Well, there was 2 organizations in Texas then now with about the same goals and everything. But Judy Coyle, who was in the Irvin ISD, and you might have heard Judy Coyle's name at these conventions, mentioned, whatever. I served as the 5th president of ATE. That was in the year 1979-80 year that I was president of ATE. Well, I took office on June the 1st, 1979. And on June the 7th, I believe it was, I called the President Fred Wiesner of TPE in Houston. And we agreed I'd have all of my officers of ATE, and Fred would bring his officers of TPE, and we met at the ATE office here in Dallas. Talked about all of the goals of each organization and everything. We found out they were practically the same. So at this first meeting of the ATE and TPE officers, we agreed that I and Fred would get in touch with an attorney's office in Austin, Texas, to help us get organized, and with the possibility down the road, put everything together and maybe consolidate ATE and TPE to eventually make ATPE. Start meeting at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. We'd go all day long and sometimes to the wee hours of the night on Saturday night. And we put everything together under the directions of the attorneys. And we had everything ready to present to our individual associations by January of 1980. All of our officers that was elected, in case the consolidation didn't go through, we all met, and between the 10 officers, we voted amongst ourselves for the officers of ATPE. That was on April 1st, 1980. Alifair Hammett was elected to be the first ATPE president. Charles Pickett was the vice president. Lynn Sewell was the treasurer, and Miss McMeans were the secretary, and they elected me to be the past president. You know, we had to have a past president, although I'd served president of ATE, but we never had a president for ATPE before. So I was elected to serve as vice president the first year. We set up and we elected members from both organizations to be the board of directors of ATPE. And Mr. Mike Mara, who was the last executive director for ATPE, he was elected to be executive director of ATPE. And Jack Martin, who was the executive director for the old TPE, he was elected to be associate director of executive director for ATPE. And then things started from that. We had all the bylaws already that the consolidation committee put together, bylaws and everything, and they couldn't be changed until in any form until we had our first convention on December the 12th and 13th, 1980. We had it in Austin at a hotel, and then it was agreed that those president officers would go ahead and serve until June the 1st, 1981. They elected officers to start serving on 1981 at that convention in December 1980, but they didn't take office till June 1, 1981. we have one person as the director to the state organization from each of the 20 regions.
Yes.
It's set up like the Texas Education regions. That's how it's set up,
Yes.
So, but that was all in a plan that we presented to get everything approved. So therefore, in that first year, we did not have directors from every region, but quick as possible, the board of directors of ATPE, the state, made sure we had a director from every region. So that made 20 directors plus the 5 officer state. So now the board of directors and everything, there's 25, 5 officers and 20, one from each of the 20 regions. Convention coming up in July will be the 43rd year on April 1st. It'll be 43 years old for ATPE.
Wow.
Term of past president of ATPE was over. I continued coming back and working with the locals, especially the local here in DISD. In fact, I served as president 1 year for the Dallas ATPE.
Wonderful. You are truly, you're inspirational, and just all this wealth of knowledge that you have, and all these, you remember all these dates.
Yeah. Well, I try to.
And so we can see that you have truly a vested interest in ATPE. You have been here since its inception, and we are so thankful for you, just all that you've done to make it what it is today.
Yeah.